keeping me grounded. Today's a little different for me. As much time as I had to prepare, you would think I wouldn't be nervous, but this is really different than any other speech I've ever given in the last 16 years. This is 16 years in a nutshell, and I will do my best to be longer than 16 minutes and shorter than 60. The position that I held since January of 2008 is like that of no other. There were good times and there were bad times. I learned early on that there are no Republicans or Democrats in local leadership. We have to play that game one day in November every 4 years, but overall that's it. If Mary J. on Bailey Street has a large pothole in her alley, it needs to be fixed. I cannot worry about who she voted for in the last municipal election. She needs her alley fixed, and that will happen. Only one time did anyone ever tell me that the reason her mother's sidewalk had not been repaired was because I was of the other party. I don't get too fired up, but that honked me off. I set her straight that is not how we operate. The job itself is very fulfilling. I'm a people person and brought from my law enforcement career, talking to people with face-to-face problem solving. If someone has a problem and called the office, I would go to their home so they could show me in person what the issue was. My first experience of that was in June of 2008, my very first year in office. A guy called complaining that his neighbor had a shed right on the property line, and there should be a 15-foot setback. He left a long, meandering message. Laura heard it first, of course, and then I heard it. He left a long, meandering message at 1 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and his language was exactly what you would expect at that time of the morning. The message was so long that it stopped, and he called back to finish the voicemail. I listened to it about 3 times, and I drove to his home. When I pulled in the driveway, he was working on his motorcycle in his garage. He asked, "Can I help you?" I said, "I'm the mayor." For the first time in my life, I felt like Michael Keaton in the original movie Batman, where he grabs the guy by the collar and says, "I'm Batman." This guy had no idea who I was or who he called on Sunday morning. And he especially didn't know that the mayor would show up to his house. He told me that he had called the building commissioner numerous times and not gotten any help. I asked him when he called the commissioner, and he said, "I don't know, November, December, I don't know." That was prior to my administration. And we since changed building commissioners. He was absolutely right. His neighbor's shed was inches from the property line and not 15 feet. We contacted the homeowner and had it fixed. Just one of the wacky examples that I will speak of today. The job is no different than any other where we had to deal with the public. There are 122 mayors in the state of Indiana, and we all have the same stories, I can guarantee you. And of course, social media has changed a lot in the last 17 years. It's changed lives, it's changed families, it's changed the way we think, act, and talk. It has changed the way we get our news. A lot of times on YouTube, an influencer will steal other influencer stories who have stolen other influencer stories from someone else and publish it stuff like it was theirs. Believe me, I know, I'm a YouTube addict. Think of the crimes that have been committed from people who are influenced on Facebook. Facebook is a great tool for any company or municipality. And a few years ago, we cut the ribbon for the Dollar General store on Oak Road. I posted it on Facebook, both the city's page and my own. I guess I expected a lot of positivity on that. We got some, but there's always that one or two that are the contrarians. I received a post from a woman who said, this is me in her inflection. This is how I heard it. I read it, but this is how I heard it. I was hoping for a Family Dollar. I mean, come on. Culver has a Family Dollar. Even Knox has a Family Dollar. Clean up that Dollar General at the east side and turn it into a Family Dollar, please. In capitalized letters. I guess people think that because the ribbon is being cut by the mayor, he has a choice in what comes and goes in the retail market. I then explained to her after some research on Wikipedia, another addiction, that Dollar Tree purchased all the Family Dollars in 2015. And we have one of those. We have a Dollar Tree up on the north side. It's the same old junk. I mean, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, same old junk. And I go to Dollar General at least once a day, so I can say that. Yes, we have stories. When she first asked me to speak, Anita used the term something like wacky world of Mayor Mark or something, so I stuck with that. And so for those of you who have heard these stories before, I truly apologize for having to put up with them again. I feel sorry for Sean because as much as we were together, he's heard these stories 100 times. Starting with my dad, Wayne, who worked for DuPont Automotive Refinishing for 30 years. During my first campaign in 2007, Dad went into a nursing home in August. With dementia, he just wasn't the same old dad and grandpa that he used to be. I had announced to run a year prior, but we never were sure he really understood what was going on. Dad had a couple of young men that he mentored back in the day at DuPont. When Dad passed away in December of 2010, these two gentlemen arrived at Dad's funeral. They asked me what I was doing these days. I told them I was in my third year as mayor of Plymouth. They both laughed and said they went to visit Dad in the nursing home and he told them I was the mayor of Plymouth. They simultaneously said, we thought he was hallucinating. So unbeknownst to us, Dad knew all along that I'd been elected. We all have stories. Mayors far and wide, I've said that enough. I won't say it again. The one I have told more than any is I am in the chips aisle at Martin's grocery store. And this lady, who everyone in this room knows, I'm not going to tell her name, everyone knows her, she starts on why Plymouth's not more like Warsaw. Warsaw does this, and Warsaw has that, the orthopedics capital of the world, and blah, 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 blah. This went on for 7 minutes. And she finished her diatribe with, and why didn't we get that R.R. Donnelly factory in 1963? I said, I don't know. I was a Cub Scout in 1963. Living in Indianapolis, so you can't blame me for the Donnelly factory not being in Marshall County or Plymouth. A lady called one day complaining about paved streets. She was really distraught. And I listed her the streets that were being paved that year. She said to me, I don't drive on those streets. What about the streets that I drive on? How do you answer that? Seriously. Time and place for everything. Once after church at First United Methodist, an elderly member of our church, who, again, everyone in this room knew at one time, came up to me and grabbed my arm. Oh, we're still in the pews. She says, Mayor, I have a bone to pick with you. Then she explained she did not like the way that the street department sealed the cracks on South Michigan Street. We do this every fall. Seal the cracks on South Michigan Street because it was way too bumpy. A lady on the west side complained about getting yellow paint on her car on Lake Avenue from the street department when they were painting the double yellows. This was from an email. I went to her home and she showed me what had happened. I explained to her that NDOT are the ones that stripe Lake Avenue because that is actually State Road 17. And she would have to take it up with them. She did not like that answer, but as it turns out, she's never, ever a happy camper. A while back later, she sent me another email, and the first sentence in the email was, "You don't have to stop at my house, but," and then she told me the story. In 16 years, I've used a gavel twice during a council meeting to settle a speaker down. She happened to be one of them when she was there on a neighborhood dispute. William Street. The street department was making way too much noise. This lady's elderly mother was trying to sleep, and the street department was making way too much noise on William Street. I'm thinking, there's 6 houses on William Street, you know? I said, "Ma'am, are you sure you're calling the mayor of Plymouth, Indiana?" She goes, "No, I'm calling the mayor of Plymouth, Minnesota." I calmly gave her the number, I'm sure with Laura's help, gave her the number of City Hall for Plymouth, Minnesota. And by the way, there are 24 Plymouths in the 50 states of our nation. A Plymouth postal worker about the closing of a fast food restaurant on her route, which was actually near another town in Marshall County. This was a Plymouth 46563 employee. This was during COVID. She could no longer eat on her route nor go to the bathroom. In her email, she asked, "What are we supposed to do, go in people's yards?" And then she ends with, "Thanks a lot, Mayor." I guess I should have forwarded her anger to Governor Holcomb, who did do those things, if you will, closed up things, and now as we look back, who knows? The most bizarre is from a lady in Lakeville that told me that she paid $2,000 several years ago for an antique book on the history of Marshall County and wanted to see if the city would buy it back for the same price so that she could help pay for a funeral. I told her the city has no interest in that, and I think I called over here to see if you guys knew what she was talking about. And I said, "When is the funeral?" And she goes, "Well, he's going to die this weekend." So I know coming into this job that I would have incidents and questions like this. I had dealt with many of the same kinds of situations while a trooper and a detective for as long as I did. The best part of it, of both jobs, is that every single day is a new day and something funky is going to happen. Back in my early days of the ISP, I remember some old trooper telling me something that I'll never forget. And I used it as mayor as well. He said, "When your job becomes boring or you have nothing on your schedule, remember that there's always some place you've never been in your patrol zone, and there's always someone you've never met in your patrol zone." And I brought that to the city as well because that's very important. It always stuck with me, and it's an important part of what we try to do here, and I'm hoping that our new mayor will use it as well. Is he here yet? Okay. Okay, now the rest of this is just going to be bullets of what we've done, what we've been able to do. My video slideshow is very willy-nilly, It started last night at 10 when I got off work at Lowe's, and ended at 2 a.m. So it's sort of, but this is just many things that we as a municipality were able to get done the last several years. This has never been a me thing, it's always an us thing. 7 council members, a perfectly ran clerk treasurer's office, thanks to Lynn Gorski and her staff, 105 employees, 9 boards with 49 volunteer members. They're not getting paid at all. They get a Christmas ornament every year. That's all they get. Yet they come out at least once a month to a usually boring meeting to serve our city and our citizens. Any volunteers, raise your hand, please. Thank you. Mayors love volunteers. I said one time, mayors love volunteers and tower cranes. Somebody said, what? Tower cranes. You know, one of those cranes where, it goes up and then it goes over. What are you talking about? I said, mayors love volunteers, but if you have a sky crane in your city, something great is happening, right? So, there you go. River Park Square, phase 1 and 2. That started when Nelson was still the city attorney, and we started buying homes down there. I think there were 11 homes that we bought with FEMA funds, and we were able to tear down a little strip mall and a grocery store and a hardware store. And now we know what we have at River Park Square. Phase 2 of the Greenways Trail starts in Legends Park? Legacy Park. The park behind the coffee shop.
Founders Park.
Founders, yeah. And Founders, thanks, Sean. I knew the city attorney would come. It goes across Jefferson, and then with a couple of bridges, ends up in River Park Square. That's the second phase of the Greenways Trail. The energy of the farmers market every Saturday morning from May to October. Freedom Park at Packard Woods, which is dedicated to kids who are handicapped. The expansion of the Mary Beth Hunter Tennis Complex. Receiving Price's Pond from the Price family, I think in 2014. Having one of the greatest city park systems in the state of Indiana and practically able to hike from one end of the city to the other. Heartland Artists and their growth and brand new facility in the Montgomery Ward building. I can't wait to get a tour. I remember the first Heartland Artists Downtown Festival and wondered, is this going to make it? Because it was pretty dim. Shows you what I know, it has absolutely become one of our greatest events. And I think we're in 2 blocks now, I believe. 3 blocks. 3 blocks long this year, so thank you. Wild Rose Moon and George Stricker's dream coming true with live streaming on WVPE the first Monday of the month at 9 p.m.
And now on WNIT, Channel 34.
Really?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that. The Reese Theater and the dreams of many that brought this back to life as a 6-year project. I still dream of a mecca of the arts in our beautiful town. Just look what the Reese has been able to do since September of 2022. The Mayor's Month of Music at River Park Square has now turned into the Mayor's Summer of Music. When this all began in 2015, I would never have dreamed it would explode as it has. Laura came up with the name, Mayor's Month of Music, in 2015 when I was running for office. And I laughed at her and said, that's a pretty dumb name, but I wouldn't go back on it now. Thank you again. She's always smarter than I was. Beginning tonight with a band called Mr. Funny Man, there will be 9 Friday night concerts to follow. See, she even finishes my sentences for me. There will be 9 Friday night concerts to follow tonight's, all the way to Labor Day weekend. The P-Town Cruise in June, and the Tractor Show in July. In 2014, new entrance signage to welcome our out-of-towners to our city. A year later, wayfinding signs throughout Plymouth. The addition of housing, including Centennial Crossing on the north side and Rivergate South in downtown area. A new food industry, and Pretzels Incorporated is now owned by Hershey's Chocolate. Major growth in American Container, Culver Tool, now called CTE, and Itamco. Hoosier Racing Tire named the coolest thing made in Indiana, right here in Plymouth, Indiana, and Lakewood. And from what I understand, I don't understand this yet, but Zentis is starting a new product called Bubble tea? Yeah, that's gonna be their next line. And it has something to do with tapioca, is that right?
Yeah, it has little pearls of tapioca.
Pearls of tapioca.
Quite yummy though.
Is it kids or is it adults?
It's an Asian thing, I think.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, that's their new line. So, and they're also making all the caramel for Starbucks in Plymouth, Indiana, right here in Plymouth, Indiana. So if you get your caramel macchiato, is that right? It's made right here, and the caramel is made here in Plymouth, Indiana. It wasn't always rosy, however. Back in 2016, we lost 250 jobs at the end of the year when Del Monte and Bay Valley closed. One was our #1 utility customer, and the other one was #4. This caused us to raise utility rates, which is something no mayor or council ever wants to do. The good news is that in about 4 years, we were able to double those jobs back with new industry, in additions to our industries. The Susan Bardwell Aquatic Center, as well as a new office for the United Way, sitting right next to each other on Miller Drive, and the Marshall County Community Foundation. Growing Kids Child Care Center, and just down the road, a brand new building for the Bowen Center to open this summer. My first year in office, myself and Nelson and the city attorney Rick Gall went to make a presentation to NDOT in LaPorte about the improvements and the widening of Hoham Drive. Guess what? It will hopefully be completed soon, 17 years later. In one of Plymouth's finest weekends in September of 2009, we honor those who fought and died in Vietnam with a mock Vietnam Wall came to RPS. I cannot say enough about that weekend. That was something special, and I do believe one of the greatest weekends of our history. Also that year, Plymouth was named the Indiana Chamber of Commerce Community of the Year with an announcement in August and a dinner at Indiana Convention Center in Indianapolis in November, where about 80 residents showed up to celebrate. I could go on and on for most of the afternoon. I'm sure I missed some very important things that we've got done here, but I promised 1 hour. I don't know what time it is. Again, this has been a team effort by so many, and I cannot say enough. Probably one of the most important situations came in late 2023, when we had a mayoral transition from our administration to that of new mayor Robert Listenberger. it could not have gone better. We still talk at least once a week. Good luck to all that you do, Robert, wherever you are. I am confident you have the right people around you to keep this momentum going. Thank you. And now my slideshow. Please don't laugh. This is willy-nilly. You'll see something from 2012, and the next shot will be from 2019. So
I messed with it, Mark,
you messed with it? Okay.
because I thought it was supposed to be running.
Sorry. This is the landing of the water rock. But I'm going to go back a few days. There. This is my family. Megan is 29 now and lives in Broad Ripple in Indianapolis. And Leanne is in Madison, Indiana today. Not with my sister. And my son Riley works for an air conditioning and heating company in Indianapolis and has a new, well, she's 3 years old now. And there was a situation last night because of the fireworks, and she told her mother to chill. Mom, I'll sleep right here, just chill. So, and that was in her 17-year-old voice. Sure. This is me that same night. I think I said something about, later on I said, no one's even bought me a beer yet. And Sam Schlosser bought me like a big glass of giant Jim Beam. I did not sleep, I slept on the couch that night. This is the celebration for the bicentennial for 200 years, where I spoke, me and several others spoke, and then this, right after this, I had to be in French Lick, but I didn't want to miss the celebration. So, a friend of mine got me a flight to French Lick on his jet, and I flew down there and had a few days in French Lick with the Indiana Associated of Cities and Towns conference. So, all right, this is 2008 or 18, whatever you want to call it. I think this is 18. Of course, this is in Bird Park or the Conservation Clubhouse right behind it. And unbelievable what water can do. All right, this is my friend Dan Ringer, state trooper, grew up here. Graduated from PHS, has a little yellow airplane, and he was flying over Plymouth. And this right here is River Park Square. There's the Miller's grocery store, or what is it, G&G, I guess?
It was G&G.
Yeah, has the Miller's sign there. That was the Harvey Mart, and this little strip mall right here on the far corner. They all went away, and not like I said earlier, I think there were 11 homes that we purchased with FEMA funds.
Magnolia tree's still there.
And it's still there, absolutely. This is where I gave a key to the city to Chris Curtis, the owner of Christo's. And a little story, back in 2018, during the flood of 18, he gave me 10 $50 gift cards to give to people who needed a meal. And I gave one to, I should have put this in that other story thing. I gave one to a lady on the south side. And, because her home was destroyed, pretty much. And she then went on Channel 22 and badmouthed me because I had mentioned that there is a possibility that we could purchase your home with FEMA funds, because this is in the floodplain. After giving her a $50 gift card, whatever. That's other people's emotions. So Chris is just a great great part of the city, so I can't say enough about him. This is the banner, after, we received the Chamber of Commerce Community of the Year Award. Anybody know what that is?
Cook Brothers.
Yeah,
Cook Brothers.
Furniture.
Yep. See, this is what I'm jumping around. This is their graduation, which happens right before Christmas, usually right before Christmas break. And then in the spring, all these kids come to a dinner and they read their essays that they wrote about what they learned in DARE. The start of the I guess you would, concession stand and restroom facility for River Park Square. And there's the rock, the water rock, being guided into its hole. This is Garrow Street in 2018. And by the way, I don't know if any of you know, but everyone always talked about the 54 flood. Hi, all right, I see it.
Sorry I'm late.
So, I can read the good stuff about you if you want. Where was I? 2000? Oh yeah, the 54 flood. Everybody always talked about the 54 flood. Ah, it was the worst ever. Well, you know what? We kicked their butt. This is Lieutenant Governor Holcomb, right before, or maybe a month before he became governor, when Trump asked Pence to be his running mate. And he was here for a mayor's, what do we call those things? Northern Indiana Mayor's Roundtable. Yeah, see, I already forgot. He was here for the roundtable and spoke to all the mayors and just had a great time. So, and this of course is right here, right upstairs. This is Governor Pence and I and Sean, and we are headed to Governor Bowen's funeral. And picked him up at the airport. He gets a police escort, not an escort, but a state troopers with him all the time, and then Sean and I trailed them. So, headline news: Plymouth, Indiana Chamber City of the Year. I don't know why it flipped out like that, but this is one of my favorite pictures. I was leaving the what is that called down there, Park Square, the market, farmer's market. Am I biting? Sorry. I was leaving the market one morning, and this guy is probably 25 feet in the air at least.
Can you make it bigger?
I don't know. Or maybe for a second. No.
That's not you up there.
This is a cone. That's a cone that's tipped over even. I mean, what if a bicyclist came along there? He has no helmet on. So this is the start of what we were doing at the Reese. I don't know what the world he was doing, but Randy had never seen this till I showed it to him. So if you go to the Reese and they're showing their slideshow, that's one of the biggest ones.
Isn't there something under the leg of the ladder too to level it up? Like on a brick or something?
Probably. There's a slope there, yeah. All right, Magic Bus. Probably our favorite band that has been at River Park Square at Mayor's Month of Music. And probably, 5 times, Laura, maybe? 3? Okay. And they were always a hit, so. And there's their magic puppet that they bring. All right, there's a what's it called, a barn? Barnfield. Yeah, it's being dedicated, so that was probably 16 too.
16.
maybe? Yeah. Okay. And somebody that was here last week for the Lincoln Way thing asked me what that's a grinder, right? A grist mill,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Oh,
millstones, yeah.
Millstone, yeah, oh, good, I got it right. This is the groundbreaking for MetroNet, which is now called what, Sean?
Choice Light?
Choice Light, thank you. This was up at Lavelle, right across from Lavelle High School, so. Brent Martin, John Oliver, Kevin Overmeyer, and myself were there for that. There's Magic Bus again. This is the Mayor's Youth Council from probably 16, I think. And as of right now, he just graduated from Notre Dame, I know that. Guy in the upper corner is his brother. That's the Dr. Smith's sons. And he is a B-52 pilot. This daughter, is also of the Smiths, is in medical school. Charlie Gruett in the back just graduated from, she's an eye doctor now and starts her, what is that called?
Residency?
Yeah, residency at the UK. I said, she's going to the United Kingdom? And he said, no, University of Kentucky. So, but I think there's 3 doctors and a pilot and I don't know what else. I mean, I haven't checked up on all of them, but just one of my, we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of things, and every year we would clean up River Park Square and plant trees, so. Up, there we go. The first beer garden, I think. And I'm two-fisted, man. There's a great joy right there. The Plymouth Motel came down in about 2014 as well, so. This was about a month before we cut the ribbon for River Park Square, and that morning we also unveiled our new logo, which I didn't even mention earlier, the new logo. And Joe Donnelly, who was then a senator, he was here in 2008 for the flood, and we just walked around, and he was a U.S. rep then, but he was a senator now, and he sees me. He pulls up and he sees me in that red and white Hawaiian shirt and camouflage shorts. And he decided to take his coat and his tie off. And throw it in the car. So, but that was a great day, and just I don't have any photos of that day itself, but there was more RPS being completed. And there was my daughter Megan. She was here. After she graduated from Indiana State, she started working at Menominee and started working with autistic kids there. And so she was in town in 2018, and she loved that so much that she went to Indianapolis and got a job with a private company that deals with autistic kids. Got her master's degree from Ball State. She was on campus one time, the night of graduation. Did everything online. That swells a dad's heart when your daughter or son can work with those kids. So, very proud of her. There's the bison before they got colored. And remember this? Well, eight years ago, Morgan was going to the Olympics, and we renamed, I think it was Baker Street. We renamed it Morgan Usini Run for a while. So, what's this? The Cook Building. You said it earlier. That's the end of the Cook Building. Okay, so these are 4 mayors that all were at Vincennes University at the same time. Huck Lewis is on the left, and Denny Spinner. Huck is from Lebanon. Denny was at Huntingburg, me, and then Terry Seitz was the mayor of Jasper. And we didn't know each other. Spinner, so they were all elected one term after me. I don't want to sound like I'm a drunk or an alcoholic or anything, but Spinner asked me, "Did you go to Vincennes?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What's your middle name?" I said, "Wayne." "Yeah. I borrowed your ID to go drinking. I borrowed your ID to go drinking in Illinois. Because the Illinois drinking age was 19, it was 21 in the end. I can't deny it because I don't remember it. But, and then last year in 23, we're getting our yearly picture taken at IAC down at French Lick. And the mayor of Monticello happened by us. And she goes, "What are you clowns doing?" And we told her what we were doing. She goes, "Really? I was there too." She was also there in 1976. So there were actually 5 of us, all of you at the same time. Pretty crazy. There's the wayfinding signs that we put up in 2016, and I think that's it. So, sorry I'm all over the road there today, but what time is it? Are we good? Oh, there it is. Look at that.
You got 3 minutes there.
Anybody have any questions? Good. See you later. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Mr. President, go ahead.
Will you tell a little bit of the stories about, your first, was it 2nd month in office when the flood hit? You've been on the job a couple months and.
Yeah, it was 9 days.
Yeah, 9 days.
Yeah, January 9th, 2008.
And how did you know what did you do, how did you start?
Well, Tom Chamberlain was the sheriff at the time, and he called me up and he said, I was out, it was like this today, but it's the rains in north of here, in eastern St. Joe County is where the Yellow River starts, comes out of the ground, east of Wyatt, if you will, and then comes down. It's pretty much a ditch all the way till it gets to downtown. But he told me, "You're gonna have trouble." He guaranteed me that, and I had said, "You're crazy." Well, he was right. So we started. What we did was put together my department heads and got a hold of ISP. And I knew who to call there. The sheriff's department, of course. Everything happened at our fire department, and Plymouth PD, of course, and Plymouth Fire Department. I learned a lot, and I think, maybe we didn't have the volunteers we had in 2018, but there was still a lot of people to help. So I just want to thank again Tom Pettivoli back there in the back. I put him on. He was a charter member of my redevelopment commission and was president for a bit, and got a brand new truck yesterday. So good for you, Tom. He's also my next door neighbor, and he was. I think you wanted to get off of that pretty bad, didn't you? Yeah. 16 years is enough. So thank you, Tom. And of course, Mike Miley and so many other volunteers in this room that, JC back there was park board president for how long?
About 10 years.
Yeah, so that's what it takes. It takes volunteers, and we truly appreciate it. And sky cranes. Anyone else? Well, anyway, I talked you up.
Did you? Okay. I'm wondering about what he said about me. I'll just say something real quick, that Mark made the transition unbelievable. did you talk about that at all, or?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and Sean, thank you. These guys, of course, I got a big legacy to follow, it doesn't make it easy on me, but, as far as day one, you know, like right after the election, he took me under his wings and we went everywhere. I don't know how many meetings, I had a track of meetings, it was interesting, because it was so many, and it was all over northern Indiana, not just here in Plymouth, but, he made it, unbelievable, transition, and so, the R's and the D's, I mean, that's not what Plymouth's about, so, anyway, I want to thank him for that, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, it's been great, so.
And one thing I didn't mention, those books on the table, my mom in 2008, she got the Plymouth Pilot, and she started scrapbooking for me until about, I think 17 is the last one. And you can tell, I have a couple of them up here because she got to the point where she didn't want to put them in plastic sleeves, she just put the newspapers in the book, and that was it. So, and I think maybe 17 or 18. I don't think there was 19. She passed away 3 years ago this month. So, but I hadn't even looked at those things much. There's a lot of stuff in there about the kids and their swimming, you know, and what they did in the water, and a lot of Boy Scout stuff. So, yeah. So take a look at those when you get a chance. Thank you very much.